Hi, everyone. My name is Elise Park, and I am a newly credentialed PCC coach with the ICF. And I want to welcome you into this session. I wanted to just do kind of a segment really on my experience having applied for, taken, and passed the ICF's credentialing exam. So this is quite an upgrade from what it used to be some years back. When I first was credentialed as an ACC, we took something called the Coach Knowledge Assessment, which was a fairly simple, straightforward assessment. It didn't require nearly the study or the caliber of readiness that I feel this credentialing exam requires, which is really, I think, a good thing for our profession. It really does elevate the standard, and it speaks to a type of validation that we can enjoy as professional coaches here in the industry without it being regulated by a government entity. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to be partnered with the ICF in this way, and also can recognize this is a big endeavor. So if you are someone who's watching this video, then I wonder if it's fair to say you are considering a future that may involve taking this exam. So congratulations on that. And I hope that what I have to share with you today is a resource and a help to you as you study for and consider what it might look like to pass this credential. So something that I feel is helpful to know, because I didn't understand it quite at first, is that any coach who wants to be credentialed with the ICF needs to pass this same exam. There is not a different exam for an ACC, PCC, or MCC level credential. All ICF coaches pass this same exam. So we're looking at behaviors and competencies that are universal for all ICF coaches. So as soon as it became apparent to me that this was part of my future and what I decide to do with my coaching career, I started really studying, especially after I applied to take the exam. So if you are someone who has gone through a program that is an approved coach training program, that's what I did. I went to a fantastic program that really prepared me well, not only for that coach knowledge assessment that I took 3 years ago when I was applying for my ACC, but even still now, I am reaping the rewards of having gone through a program that really just prepared all of these pieces for me that I didn't even know at the time I would need. So these are things like the educational components, the mentor hours. There's a lot that goes into the educational considerations and the mentor hours as you think about if you need to kind of piece those things together. I'm very thankful that the program I went to had all of that just already included in. So all I have needed to do for both my ACC and my PCC really is just accumulate the hours. Everything else has already been considered and built into the program for me with IPEC. Now, once I was approved to take my exam, I decided to start studying because I knew that once I got the approval email, I would have 60 days to actually schedule the exam and take it. So from the time that I submitted my application, it was about 3 weeks until they gave me the email that said, great, you've been accepted, please book your appointment, which I did. And I booked that about a week and a half to 2 weeks out. So I would say start to finish for me, it was about a 6-week process. And every day for those 6 weeks, I was studying something. I was either scouring YouTube, which is probably something you're doing right now, maybe even how you found this video, listening to other groups of coaches who were going through the sample questions on the ICF website. There were some videos, I'm sure I remember, of just individual coaches kind of doing what I'm doing, just talking about my own experience with what it was like to study for and take the exam. So there are those sample questions on the ICF website. The ICF also has a tremendous section of videos on YouTube. So if you want to go through and watch all of the videos on the code of ethics, that's a great investment of your time. Same with the core competencies, really memorizing what the 8 core competencies are, even just on a basic level, not necessarily, 4.1 and 5.2 and all those sorts of tease it out that much. It is helpful to know what those competencies are and have them at the ready. And that's one of the things I'm going to share with you later are some acronyms that I used to help me study that and keep that front of mind as I moved into actually taking the exam. I'd also like to share with you some of the worries that came up for me, the thoughts that and limiting beliefs. It's understandable that there would be these things that come up for us coaches, the same things that we may be coaching our clients around. Perfectly understandable that those things would come up for us too from time to time. And I had a few of these and I want to share what some of those are because I've heard them in conversations, and I just wanted to share with you how I was able to reframe those things and switch it around for me in order to really enjoy the experience of not just passing the exam, but the experience of taking the exam and being present in that moment. I also want to share with you some things just that I observed about the exam in general, just the lighting, things about being in that space and taking the exam and the results. So let's go ahead and jump into what I studied. I already mentioned the YouTube videos, the ICF website. One thing that I really committed to memory early on were those 8 core competencies. And I created an acronym for myself to remember what those are. And that for me was EMATS PLAG, EMATS PLAG. And that stands for ethics, mindset, agreements, trust and safety, presence, listening, awareness, and growth. So these, of course, are just keywords that are part of that longer sentence. But I knew those. And once I had just the keyword at the ready, it was something I was able to easily recall. There is another set of acrostics that I learned from Lissa DeHart. She's an MCC coach who has lots of helpful videos on YouTube. She has a few courses even to help prepare for the credentialing exam. So I don't want to infringe on any copyrights here by sharing what her acrostics are. But she does have some free courses and some paid ones in order to help prepare for this. So feel free to look her up if you would feel helped by maybe what's some of the stuff that she has to offer. Some of her acronyms are really more for behaviors as far as what to make sure you do, what to make sure you don't do as a coach. And it is helpful to have these things written down. They don't let you bring anything in, but you can write them on a piece of scratch paper or whatever they give you. They gave me like a whiteboard with an erasable marker. So as soon as I went in and got seated, I wrote the acronyms out, and then I was able to just clear my mind from having to have those front and center. So let me now share with you some of what my big worries were going into this exam. And one of those things are I'm not a good test taker. Another one that I had was I'm a slow reader. I'm going to run out of time. You're given 3 hours to answer 81 scenarios. I wasn't sure I could do it. I also was worried, what if I have to get up? What if I have to use the bathroom or need to get a drink of water or something like that? I was also worried I may potentially freeze up and not be able to answer a question. What if I couldn't figure it out? So let me go through these in case they resonate with you. And this first one here, I'm not a good test taker. What I realized as I examined this thought is that passing this exam is not really the hardest part about achieving the PCC credential. It's what the hardest part was I had already done. I had already completed the education. I had already completed the mentor calls. And I had completed 500 hours of coaching. That is no small feat. And when I was able to make that switch of, wow, okay, passing this exam is really the ICF doing their due diligence to make sure that they are credentialing someone who meets these standards. And this is just an opportunity for me to show that I am who I already know that I am, which is a PCC level coach. And when I made that mental switch, it really helped me drop into a space of feeling more at ease and more at peace, because the really hard things, the really challenging things, they were already over. I already did them. Worst case scenario, I may have to retake the exam. It really wasn't so bad when I looked at it that way. My worry number 2 was that I'm a slow reader. I'm going to run out of time. So I am someone who feels like I don't really read that quickly. I know that I learn more readily when I hear things, and visual things tend to take a little bit longer for me. And so this was a concern that I had. And one way that I got out in front of this was to realize that I read slowly because my mind is already trying to fill in lots of blanks. Well, I decided to read all 4 of the answer sets first before I read the question. And this helped give my mind a bit of a constraint, because I wouldn't be running away with all kinds of answers that may be way out of the ballpark when I knew that of the 4 options, it was going to be 2 of these. There's going to be one best and one worst, and it's going to be 2 of these. So it allowed my brain to kind of stop over analyzing within the constraint of what those answers were, and it helped me keep an awareness about those answers as I read the question. So I don't know if that'll help you. I feel like it did serve me because it helped keep me kind of on track as I read through the questions. That worry about needing a break, what if I have to use the bathroom, those sorts of questions, worries that I had didn't even happen. The time went by so quickly. I have heard that some testing centers do not offer a break in between. However, mine did. And I was so in the flow. I considered taking it, but I thought, I don't really feel like I even need it. So I just moved on and continued the next set of questions. So the exam is split into 2 sections. So one half has 41 questions, the next half has 40, I believe. And once you complete your first set of questions and you're done with that and you submit it, you can't come back to it. So one approach that I found very helpful, that I learned from lots of the other people I watched on YouTube, was to answer the questions as quickly as I felt like I could. And then if I wasn't sure about the answers, to flag it. There's a little icon up in the upper right. You click flag, and that means when you've reached the end of the question set, you are given an opportunity to review the questions, and you can see which ones you flagged. And I actually had plenty of time to not only answer them all, but go back and review all of the ones that I did flag. And so that helped me feel confident that I at least had considered all of those scenarios and all of my answers measured against the acronyms that I had written out on my little plastic whiteboard. My other worry was, what if I freeze up? What if I just can't find an answer and I'm too nervous and I'm too worked up? Well, I will say a few of the questions contained maybe 5 or 6 sentences, and those ones were the ones where I felt my mind starting to wander a little bit. Some of the information would kind of fall out of my head as I made it to the end of the question, but there weren't very many of those. And when that did happen, I just brought myself back to center. I used my gut to think, okay, what's obviously the wrong answer here? Which one can we completely mark out? And I used the acronyms again, just that I had already written down to really examine it. But there weren't very many questions that were that long. So overall, the process for me of having gone to a testing center was very smooth. It was very professional. I noticed that when I came into the room and was checked in, there were no clocks. There was no clock that I could see on my screen. And from what I understand, when you take the exam at home, they also take full control over your screen. So you wouldn't see a clock, but you do have a timer. So you're aware of the time relevant to where you are at in the exam. In case you may find that disorienting, it wasn't really too bad of an adjustment at all. I did also like that all of the questions and all of the answer options for the associated question were all on one page. That was another concern that I had, is that I would have to click through lots of things to try and get to the next answer set. It wasn't like that. It was all on one page, so you could see the entire question, all of the answer options, and then you simply drag and drop your best answer and drag and drop your worst answer, and then you click to move on. Very straightforward. I did notice that the screen was a little bright for me, which resulted in some eye strain after 2.5, 3 hours staring at a screen that long. So I might have brought some screen glasses. Looking back, I may have asked the testing administrator if they could possibly turn the brightness down. That maybe would have added some additional comfort, but overall, it wasn't too bad. The testing center was in like an office sort of space, so there was lots of fluorescent lighting. If you're sensitive to that kind of thing, just know ahead of time that if you go, then that's likely what you'll experience as well. Now, the minimum passing score is 460, and the maximum you can get is 600. So I was anticipating as soon as I submitted my exam, my number would come up on the screen. And I think when you take it at home, it probably does that. But since I was at a center, it thanked me for my response. And then it said to go and meet with the testing administrator in order to get my results. So they had a printout for me, and they gave it to me and let me know that I passed, which was a fun moment. And they gave me a little congratulations, and that was a fun moment of celebrating. And really, even if I hadn't achieved the passing score, all it would have meant is that I had an opportunity to do it again. At least I would have known what was on there. That's really the attitude that I came into it with, and I appreciated it even as I did get a passing score. So I'm very thankful for that. And part of what I wanted to do to celebrate, because I was talking about this with my coach, she said, "What are you going to do to celebrate this?" And making this video, believe it or not, was one thing that came out of that conversation. So just as a way for me to honor the process for myself, as well as potentially pay it forward by sharing some helpful information with other coaches who are on this path, that really is my goal. So if you would like to learn more about any of the resources that I mentioned here in this video, then you can leave a comment and let me know. Sometimes I can't post links below, but we'll get you figured out if you let me know that you'd like some help there. And I'm just wishing you the best of luck. Bye.